Do you know what the Holy One can do with dust? This is a question posed by a favorite writer of mine in a book of blessings. Do you know what the Holy One can do with dust? I shared this question and the blessing in which it is included when we last gathered in person on an Ash Wednesday. That was late February 2020. We were right on the edge at that point. The edge of something we could not have imagined, a few weeks away from learning new things about our mortality, about our limits, about the dust. Remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. These words land on our ears and hearts differently since February 2020. Mortality has been very near these past 2 years, as we now approach nearly 1 million dead from COVID in this country alone. And then there are all the other losses in addition to the loss of life. The loss of connection, fellowship, and community, highest among them. That loss has taken different shapes and forms. Loss of holidays spent with family. Loss of sports seasons and the way that we knew or prepared for them. Loss of gathering in our sacred spaces and sharing the peace and the bread and wine around the altar in ways that are familiar to us. In these 2 years, we have known loss. We have experienced heartache and struggle as a result of the pandemic and as a result of the other societal viruses that the pandemic has amplified. We have faced our mortality in new ways in this time. We have remembered that we are dust. So it takes some courage, I think, some real conviction to show up this Ash Wednesday and be reminded again. Reminded after wave upon still coming wave of reminders over the past 2 years that we are dust, and to dust we shall return. And I think our courage, our faith, our trust in showing up today lies in that question we thought about 2 years ago. Do you know what the Holy One can do with dust? We show up today not because we need one more reminder that we are dust and that life is fleeting. We show up because we need to hear the promise of what God can do with dust. We need to hear the words from our collect today, the ones that say that God hates nothing he has made. And God made us from the very dust of the earth, and then called us good, beloved. We need to hear that. We need to hear that image of abundance from Isaiah, that after coming through parched places, after being in places heavy with dust, God will make us be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose waters never fail. Do you know what the Holy One can do with dust? It's the only way we can hear one more reminder right now that we are dust. The promise of what God can do with it. Maybe we might even repeat that question to ourselves when we come forward here in a few moments to have the ashes imposed on our foreheads. Remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. And then quietly Secretly, as we hear in the Gospel of Matthew, in the interior of our hearts, repeat that question. Do you know what the Holy One can do with dust? It is the promise we need to hear and carry into Lent, both as a comfort and also as a challenge. It wouldn't be Ash Wednesday and it wouldn't be Lent without that tension, the tension between comfort and challenge. There is the promise of what God can do with dust, and there is also the expectation that we will move with the Spirit in kicking up some dust, in partnering with that work. We hear it in the words of Isaiah. God will guide us to places of abundance, and that abundance comes when we have worked for justice, when we have fed the hungry and housed the homeless, when we live and act in the world like we believe that God can do something with dust. That's when we will be like a watered garden. And then there's another tension that we hear today, not just the tension of comfort and challenge, but the tension of visible and secret, outward and interior. Whenever you give alms, Jesus says, whenever you pray, whenever you fast, do not let yourselves be seen. Do these things in secret, not seeking any praise or attention. It's like Jesus is saying, partner with me in kicking up some dust. Be in relationship with me. Be in relationship with one another. Be in relationship with yourself. And don't pay attention to who's watching. Because God knows. God sees, and that's where your reward is. As followers of Jesus, we do not seek visibility. And when we are practicing our relationship with God, our neighbors, and ourselves, when we are partnering with the Spirit to kick up some dust, others are going to take notice. Our call is to live like we believe that God can do something and is doing something with the dust. And then when that sparks a holy curiosity, a holy imagination in others, to get out of the way and allow them to discover, wow, look what God is doing with the dust. It has been a hard 2 years. And here we are again at Ash Wednesday. We're brave and showing up. Do you know what the Holy One can do with dust? It's a promise and a challenge. So let's get started.